Hey everyone, Sean here, and today in this video I wanted to sit down and talk about another topic on my mind, and that is Genshin Impact, of how it treats new players nowadays. It's been definitely a topic on several people's minds on YouTube anyway, and I took a look at them, and they've all kind of had these similar thoughts about it. And I thought about what would be the solution to all this stuff, and there were comments that were very interesting in it, and it definitely brings ideas to the table as well. And there is one that I do have in mind that I think would work from not only from a gameplay perspective, but also a story perspective as well, at least to some degree anyway. So, but before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe. Really appreciate you guys. It really does help out the channel, especially when you hit the bell to notify all. All those little things will help in the long run for channels like this. Anyway, so Genshin Impact and gacha games always have this problem where when either players fall off or players try to get into the game at a later time, not on day one, sort of tend to have this problem where there's a lot of content or updates where you're just restricted from having to go through this part of the content and stuff like that as a prerequisite before you can get into the new stuff. Especially this is a problem for new players who want to get into games like Genshin Impact, for example. If you want to get Yaimiko, but once you get her, it's like I can't really level her up because I don't have the material specifically for this character, because that's locked behind a region that I have to get to after all the other stuff that's been previously laid out for me and stuff like that. And I have to go through Mondstadt, I have to go through Leeway, and then all the other stuff in between, and then get to Inazuma, and then do all the stuff for Inazuma, and then you finally get to Yaimiko. But by then it's like maybe you have another character on the horizon, and it just creates this sort of problem for a lot of players. And then there are weapons too that are event exclusive at times, and if you don't get this weapon by then, you miss out on it, and it could be a game changer for free-to-play players, especially. That is something that could be a bad feeling for a lot of those players who missed out on those weapons as well. I definitely do feel this because this is happening to me in certain gacha games or gacha RPG mobile games like Epic 7, and even of course Fate Grand Order. I'm still not on Lost Bell. I'm still on barely the end of Babylon. I'm still at that point, and I have missed out on all the welfare events. So I missed out on all the welfare servants and stuff like that. Luckily, those come back every year, but that's a year I have to wait for those characters to come back. But I've been kind of lazy about Fate Grand Order, and I kind of just collect the summer banners and stuff like that, and some of the other banners that are available to me, like Casa Artoria later on this year and stuff like that. But that's something that's a problem across all these other gacha games, and it definitely is a problem here, because at the end of the day, this is a gacha game like anything else. It's a mobile game that happens to be playable on PC and consoles and such, even though it does, yes, feel like a console game or a full-fledged game with the content that was available and stuff like that. It's definitely one of the more interesting cases in this situation with Genshin Impact. Now, it is a problem, right, for new players trying to get into this sort of game, because they got to go through all of that stuff, and if they happen to grab a new character along the way, well, they have to wait and go through the content as much as they can, or fast as they can, and that could be a detriment to them enjoying the experience. It's a very different experience if you get into Genshin Impact now versus getting into Genshin Impact from day one. I luckily was able to get into Genshin Impact during the first month of its release, so I've been pretty much there from square one sort of thing. So For the players who have been sticking with it for a very long, or for the whole time, I guess is a reward in that sense. But when it comes to, you know, new players and such, it's hard. You know, it's hard to have new players get into it as well as your regular old game and all that, like that don't rely on these sort of events and trying to get through the prerequisites and stuff like that. And you know, there are some solutions just besides, you know, just accepting the fact that you probably won't get this weapon or get this character on time. I mean, if you do get the character, at least you have the character, right? And you just have to get to that point so that you can farm the specific materials to level them up and all that. But when it comes to weapons and stuff like that, you know, that's a bit of a yikes right there. But you know, it kind of sucks. It makes it a little harder for new players to get into, especially with the more content gets added over time. And so by the time it's like on its 3rd anniversary and new people are trying to get into it, it's like they have to start from all the way from Mondstadt all the way up to Sumeru or whatever the new region is at the time, and they can't do anything about it, you know, other than just try to rush through it. And if they rush through it, it's just a detriment to their experience in the long run. They can't enjoy the story, they can't enjoy the sort of the character sort of nuances or the in-betweens and all this little lore stuff that Genshin Impact has established at this point. What can we do about it, you know? And there is definitely a creative solution that could both serve as a story purpose in some ways and also of course, a gameplay purpose as well. And it's to have a black market of sorts. Have an NPC to run the black market, and pretty much they have all these parts from their current regions being sold to you at a pretty high price. Yes, it is a high price, but you have the opportunity if you want to, if you're willing to put the time into you know, farming these materials or farming the money and get these materials and then try to level up your character that way, you know. Now, of course, there are in-betweens of how it could work and flow better and stuff like that, and you know, how are you going to now like level this part up now or whatever it is. But that way, you do have an opportunity to level up the new character, but it also still creates the incentive for you to go through the story. Once you get to the story, once you get up to the current point of the story, then you kind of don't need the black market, or you maybe get a discount at the black market or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that could work out or something like that. Obviously, if you make the black market too good or too cheap or too affordable, too accessible, then it just creates the incentive of players not just doing the story at all or very little and whatever. But obviously, maybe for like the weapon events, maybe that could still be event exclusive, so that, you know, could still create that incentive. But at least when it comes to the character materials, that should be part of the black market or something like that for sure. That could be something to, I guess, take in mind, I guess. So a black market would be really good because, you know, it could be run by one of the Fatui members, right? One of the oddly good Fatui members. That person could be like neutral or something like that in alignment. And you know, it could be a fun thing. It could create a fun little character for you to kind of think about, maybe more fan art or something like that. I don't know. Could be any sort of design, I guess. It could probably just be, you know, one of the recycled NPC designs, for all we know. But if it's a Fatui member, they'll probably have like a mask over it anyway. But I think a black market sort of solution would make sense for new players, right? So again, you know, you have these relatively high prices for these materials, but you have access to the materials from the get-go, or once you like level up to like rank 20 or something like that, Revenger rank 20 or whatever it is, 15-ish, I don't know, then you can have access to those materials. Maybe once you get to leeway or something, maybe that's where the black market should be. I don't know. Maybe not completely from the get-go. You gotta play some of the game to get to the black market. It shouldn't be that far. Maybe once you like beat Mondstadt or something like that, that'll unlock something like a black market. And again, that'll be an opportunity for you to have access to all the current materials needed for whatever characters you got. So I think it'd be a fun thing. I think it'd be a fun way to update the game. You know, there are definitely other updates needed for the game to be, you know, just be a little more accessible or fun, or, you know, there are fixes to be had. Hopefully Hoyoverse, excuse me, will take that into mind and, you know, think about those things for not only for us veteran players, but for the players that are new or players that are coming back to Genshin Impact and have some stuff to catch up on. So I think that'd be a pretty good idea, in my opinion. So again, a black market sort of place with the NPC there to run it, of course, to have access to all the character materials and whatever it is else you need for the characters. I think that should be there. Now, I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe they might not have to fight the boss, but I don't know. I mean, you gotta play around with the prices, right? Maybe, again, make them pretty high, but at least, you know, if you're willing to put the time there, that could, you know, you're kind of rewarded for that, right? But if you get to once you catch up to the story, then, you know, you don't really need the black market anymore. Then you can just farm it yourself at that point. And you know, it's because it is kind of hard to farm Mora anyway. So I don't know. I guess I think it works out. I think it would work out. I think, you know, of course, again, you gotta refine it, you gotta fine tune it and stuff like that, balance it for gameplay reasons. But I think it would work. So if anyone has any ideas or solutions for new players, how they can they sort of be alleviated with some of the stress, right? Trying to catch up and all that stuff. Maybe have some exclusive events, right, for the veterans, right? Meanwhile, let the new players still work on their stuff, but still have access to being able to level up their new characters they got under the belt. But it's yeah, I don't know. It'd be I think it'd be a pretty good idea. I don't know. It'd be another opportunity to have a cool character in there, as another thing to be fan art or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, if you have any comments about any solution or any comments about how you feel about black market for Genshin Impact or anything related to this topic, please leave it down below in the comment section below. I would love to read them. And, you know, let's have a cool conversation and discussion about whether or how to solve the issue about new players getting into Genshin Impact along with players who need to catch up. Is a black market a good idea? You know, I'd love to talk about that more in the comment section below. So don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell, you know the drill. Really appreciate you guys. And so that's has been the Hawke Talks episode on Genshin Impact's problem with new players or players who need to catch up. So hopefully the black market could happen at some point, maybe. I don't know, who knows. So anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Sean out.